How are you, Dan?
Good. Good to see you. All right, we're going to go ahead and call to order the special meeting of the Board of Commissioners. We have one item on the agenda, which is the opportunity for the Board of Commissioners to interview final two candidates and select one to be appointed to the Board of Commissioners tomorrow night. I'll entertain a motion to adopt the agenda. Motion from Commissioner Wesolek. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. What you have up on the board is where we are in the process. This began with Commissioner Burrow resigning in April. We announced to the town the process that we were going to use within a matter of a week to 10 days. And Nick, just FYI, can we have the clicker when you get a second? We went through and advertised. The clerk pulled everything together. We met July 19th, and we're here at the interview step. And with that, we will we'll make a selection. Thank you very much. We got two candidates, Candace DeFinis, Bob Morgan. Welcome. Thank you for being here today and taking time out of your busy calendars to be here. And thank you for your willingness to step up. The only way that I know to be fair to select who goes first is we're going to have Melody flip a coin. You guys decide who wants to call the coin as to who will go first in the interview process. And what will happen is,
I can't let it
and while the first person is being interviewed, the other person will be in the executive conference room, sitting there staring at the wall, getting nervous and all that good stuff. No, you just need to be away. It's not bad. It gives you a chance to get your thoughts together. Nobody will bother you in there. So who's going to call the coin?
Yes, I am.
Okay, Melody, flip it. Call it.
Tails.
What is this for?
Okay, yeah, tails. You go first.
Well, it's your choice. You want to go first or second?
I'll go first.
Okay. Bob, if you would go into the executive conference room,
Does he know where it is?
and Melody will take you there, and we'll wait for you. Ready? Okay, you're more than free to give an opening statement. Take up to 5 minutes.
Okay.
Okay?
Good day. First, I would like to thank you very much for reviewing my packet and for the opportunity and privilege to possibly serve the residents of Waxhaw. I have such a vivid memory of the first time I came to Waxhaw. My husband and I had been relocated to the Charlotte area for work, and when I drove into Waxhaw, it reminded me of home. The train track, the small business downtown, it immediately caught my eye. I was enamored by the historic buildings, lovely farms, and small town charm. This is truly an incredibly special place, and it would be my honor to serve on this board. Over the years, I have passionately made public comments on many topics, from my own opinions and research. I will bring that same independence to this board, reading all of the agenda packets, completing my own research, and partnering with staff and coming with my own decision on what is best on the behalf of my Waxhaw neighbors. I believe that Waxhaw has some challenges that we need to get in front of, and I can promise that I will work diligently, if chosen, over the next 5 months to support the town and its efforts. I have watched Waxhaw transform, especially our downtown corridor, and it is my hope that Waxhaw will continue to be a destination for people to enjoy. In my professional life, I partner with business users, development team members, and leadership to deliver the needs of our business. Whether that's a system improvement, feature release, process, or policy change, I spend my days bringing people together, listening to their needs, and providing my analysis and feedback. My talents of project management, active listening, analysis, and documentation will serve me well in this position. Over the last 10 years, I have volunteered my time and talents to many organizations and boards. I was a member of the Town of Waxhaw Promotions Committee, and I also served for over 2 years on the Curitan Homeowners Association, first as vice president and then as their president. I believe the experience of serving over 724 homes, and more importantly, the residents of that community of Curitan, has prepared me for this opportunity. I enjoyed serving my Curitan neighbors and solving the complex challenges that we faced. I believe that everyone has something to give back, and the greatest gift that you can provide is your time and talents by action. I spend my evenings and weekends with my friends and family. You'll often find me supporting our local businesses, Saturday mornings at the farmer's market, enjoying a meal in one of our many restaurants, shopping, or taking my son for a treat at the Creamery or Pelicans. I encourage everyone to get plugged into everything that Waxhaw has to offer. Take advantage of Waxhaw life. It is my sincerest hope that every resident will thrive. Whether I move forward in this process or not, I will continue to be an advocate for the town I love, the town of Waxhaw, by supporting its mission, vision, and values. I very much look forward to the question and answer. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. I'll go ahead and get us started. I put some structure into this in terms of getting the ball rolling, so we have some consistency on questions for everybody. All right.
Is it showing green on the
Yes,
side?
there we go. Try it again.
Technical difficulties.
There we go.
Okay. So, should you be appointed, you'll be one of 6 elected officials on the Board of Commissioners. We operate under the council manager form of government. The intent of that form of government is pretty straightforward. It is to collectively, within our unique roles of staff manager and elected officials, to respect these roles and take what we've been handed and leave Waxhaw in a better place than where it is at the moment, together. What does together, one voice mean to you?
It means that when this board comes to consensus supporting what this board has stated as one voice, and again, it would be my privilege to become a member of this board and share in the board's vision for Waxhaw.
Okay. What words equates to or describes better place to you? You mentioned you have some passion, so.
Absolutely. So, describes better place. I think that, I've seen exponential growth over the last 10 years, and I think we have some, traffic challenges and congestion challenges, and I knew that it was a goal of this board, and I want to further that goal to make it easier for residents to get about town and enjoy everything that Waxhaw has to offer. I think that we have a unique opportunity to bring even more economic development to the downtown corridor and our main street, and I'm in support of that and seeing more businesses thrive here within Waxhaw, and I'm excited to see what diversity those businesses could bring to us. And as far as a better place, really just making sure that we reach out to all the residents and all the citizens and see what's important to them to make Waxhaw a happier and better place for them to enjoy, whether it be with them or with their families.
So you mentioned vision, mission, values. If you take those, while we've been recognized, and I don't know why this is not working very effectively.
Oh, yeah. Nick will have to move it
Okay.
forward for you.
Nick, if you could pop up the question. You mentioned the vision, you mentioned the mission, you mentioned the values. We continue to be recognized for the progress we make. We can always improve. Where do you feel we could improve in those?
So again, I believe that we are prosperous, and we are continuing to kind of build out our downtown and see it thrive. I think that, the safety and the congestion of the traffic issues is something that we can definitely improve upon, and work towards and strive towards, and I know that's, again, a goal that the board has been working towards. So I want to continue to further that. As far as other things that we can improve upon, I think that we do an amazing job with communications, but almost evangelism and outreach is something that I think that we could attempt to try to be a little bit more innovative on, because there are so many people that are coming into Waxhaw, and we have to find a way to reach them, so that they are aware of everything that we have to offer.
Okay. And Nick, if you want to move ahead to the next one completely. So what you have here, I said, over the weekend, one more step, Nick, for the question. There we go. So over the weekend, I reached out to our acting town manager and said, what's on our action plan, our work plan for the next 4 months? This is what was been defined in the budget, what's been approved, what's been discussed in May and June in terms of things we have on the plate. We have 8 meetings. Should you be appointed, you have 8 meetings, and these are the things that are 9 meetings, I guess, that would occur between now and December 10th. We have some policy activities. We've started some things on an employee benefit pay and compensation work plan that will require policy. We are looking for the interim town manager to complete a recommendation on a capital improvement plan. We got a lot of things going on with transportation. You can read through these. Number of work items, a lot there. What do you see as your role, a role as a commissioner in this, and how do you think you can enhance it?
I think that.
Or do you want to run away from it? No.
I think that, again, what I bring is, someone who will really dive in and be dedicated to this 5 months. I feel very passionately about the town. And as far as it would go from boards and committees, again, recruitment, interviews, and bringing other people in to support what we have to offer and what they have to offer us to really make our boards and committees stacked up with people that bring us ideas. From a planning and zoning perspective, I would personally like to see the UDO and the timeline for the UDO come forward. I know that will not happen in 5 months' time, but at least to kind of take the process that was put into place with the master park plan and provide a timeline and schedule the meetings in advance and put that out to the public so that the public has the opportunity to provide their feedback in what is going to be one of the most critical governing documents that moves us forward for many years to come. From a town manager perspective, just in support of the recruitment process and making my time and talents available to support that effort. I have a real passion about transportation, traffic calming, moving the projects forward that we have on our plate, understanding how we can leverage the plans that we already have in place, whether that be the 2012 pedestrian plan and the upcoming plan that we're looking to move forward with to enhance our connectivity and our walkability, as well as how does that play into the Waxhaw Marvin Road plan that we just got back, and how can we interweave those plans together to deliver future projects to make the ease of getting around Waxhaw better. As far as CIP is concerned, I believe that there will be many things that come forward, traffic calming being one of those things, possibly other projects such as the future of a public workspace and again, I would diligently look into those items and understand as much as I can to be able to hit the ground running with this board.
If you want to get an update on where the process is starting on planning and zoning, come to the work session tomorrow. Because our new director, Jeff Wells, is going to take us through what the State House and their 131-page bill did to modernize. And so we got to start there and then move the ball forward. So that starts as early as tomorrow with Jeff. So, all right. Those were some of the general ones, and now we'll go to some specifics from each commissioner.
Sure.
Which commissioner would ask questions first? Commissioner Burns?
Hi, Candace.
Hi.
Some of this may be the same as what you've already answered, but maybe in a different form. Specifically, do you understand the council manager form of government and the roles of that each play?
Yes, ma'am. I understand that the commissioners play a governing role and make decisions that the town manager and team put into process and action, and that the town manager also brings forward items for the board to discuss and to deliberate about, and then the board provides that guidance back to the town manager. I also understand, according to the rules of procedure, that the mayor and/or a member of this board works with the town manager to put together the agenda packet and determines what is moving forward with each session. And I believe that each member of the board has the ability to bring something forward, and it's determined if that would make the agenda or not, if it was prepared to make the agenda.
Okay, thank you. Next question is, in one sentence, what is your reason for wanting to serve Waxhaw for the next 4.5 months? 2 sentences.
Gosh, that's a stumper. But I've always had a passion for public service, and I believe that this is a unique opportunity, and I believe that I can bring a lot to the table in order to drive a lot of these items forward and see them to completion of some of the items in order to support the town.
Okay, thank you. I have 4 questions. So my third question is, do you have a particular issue facing Waxhaw that is of a concern or an interest to you?
So again, transportation would be the one that I would like to see move forward. I think that we have a unique opportunity to get in front of some transportation projects so that when the 16 widening comes upon us, that we have some other ulterior ways we can get around town. And I think that transportation is something that impacts every resident of town. So I would like to see the traffic calming policy, additions to parking, see what we can do from a future project initiative, and see what we can do with some of the critical intersections that were discussed in the Union County plan, and to make a plan to move those projects forward.
Okay. The last question is, what do you see the town transitioning into in the next 4 to 10 years? How do you view or envision that, what we will be?
My hope for Waxhaw is that our downtown continues to thrive, that we can bring in more businesses to support the economic growth of the town, that we can also develop the commercial space in Prescott and see additional businesses come to town in that space, as well as the spaces alongside Lowe's to see those come to fruition. I would also like to see additional roadways or thoroughfares like Waxhaw Parkway come to fruition so that people have all other alternatives for getting around town. I would also like to see us develop some of our 95 acres of open park space that is in our inventory and give our children and residents a place to enjoy.
Okay, thank you.
Others?
Do you want to just run around?
I'm just looking to see, does everybody have questions? Okay.
Okay. Candace, just to pull out some of the things you put in your resume. You said in your resume that you attended Waxhaw 101, the first class. Do you think that the information presented to you helped you prepare? If so, could you tell me how?
Absolutely. I think it is such a unique program, and it was wonderful to understand what every department does to serve the town, and to understand, all the efforts that they go through on a daily basis, from the police department, the fire department, the public works department, and understanding their breadth of what they work on, as well as the parks and recreation department and events department. Understanding what Lisa Hoffman goes through to put an event on in this town is a very significant effort, and her efforts and the efforts of that team should be applauded. So yes, I really enjoyed Waxhaw 101 and would encourage the citizens to take part in that class when it is offered. I think it's unique and valuable and gives everyone a lot of insight into everything that Waxhaw has to offer.
Okay. My next question is, you highlight also your time on the Curitan HOA as both, was it vice president and president?
Yes, that's correct.
So that's what, 734 homes, which is roughly 2,800 people. That's a small town. What was the hardest thing you had to do as president? Most challenging?
I think the hardest thing that we had to work through is a plan to increase our reserves and future-proof the ability that if something catastrophic happened in the neighborhood, that we would have the funds to, for example, resurface our pool, put in a new slide. If our irrigation system failed, we would have the ability and the funds to be able to bring those projects to fruition and an update without assessing the residents. So for me, putting a rigid saving plan in place and building up the reserves of the community was something that we focused on. We also focused on collecting HOA dues, as well as putting a covenants committee in place, enforcing the rules of our covenants committee, setting the covenants committee process so that the uniformality of the neighborhood would be held at a high standard. And I think that those were some of the wonderful things that not just myself, but that entire board was able to accomplish.
So given that experience, what would you say are your lessons learned that you feel would be applicable here?
I think the lessons learned were that you had to listen to every resident and every concern, that you had to try to put yourself in their shoes, and that you had to come back open and transparently with a plan. One of the things that I did that was completely different from any other HOA board in Curitan was that I put out a monthly newsletter of all the items and decisions and things that were happening at a board level, so that everyone was aware of what the board was discussing. Our meetings were opened. We didn't hold closed sessions. We were completely transparent, and it allowed us to have conversations and to work together as neighbors, and I think that was it was a great way to be able to kind of pull down the veil between the board and the residents of the community.
Okay, and I just have one last question. Sometimes in government, we have to make tough decisions that are not necessarily popular. Do you feel that you would be ready to take on the flack that might come with something like that?
Absolutely. We made tough decisions in Curitan. You're not very popular when you stand up in front of a group of neighbors and tell them that you're raising their HOA dues. You're not very popular when you close the pool in the heat of the summer. You're not very popular when, you set a covenants committee in place and uphold the rules that are in the CC&Rs, and you bring people, to hearings and ask them to, update or fix up their yard so that it is the same uniformity of the rest of the neighborhoods and the standards of the neighborhood. So I believe that I have an extremely thick skin. I'm ready to share my opinions and my thoughts, and I don't shy away from that.
Thank you. That's all I have.
First of all, thank you for being up here today. I know this is not your typical type of interview format, so I applaud you just for going through this. I know you said you served on the promotions committee. Is that the only town board or committee that you have served on in Waxhaw?
Yes, that was the town committee that I did serve on.
Okay. And I was just looking, when you resigned in April of 2016, what was the reason for the resignation?
The reason for the resignation was that I was changing jobs, and I was moving to a job that was further away and therefore wouldn't allow me the flexibility to come into downtown and meet at the time. And I didn't think it was right to not attend the meetings and not do what I was committed to doing, and I felt that it would be better for someone else to take that seat that had the same passion as I did at the time.
So right now, do you have that same job? Or
No, I do not.
Okay, so do you work from home and have some more flexibility?
I absolutely have the flexibility that I need to be able to serve this interim position, and I look forward to it. Yes, I have the time and to dedicate and to serve.
Okay. I've gone back and looked at just some different public records. Just wanted to question you on some things. On March 22nd, 2016, you addressed the board regarding the UDO rewrite and stated that the town had not benefited from moving towards form-based code, and you requested the board eliminate straight zoning and that you supported historic preservation. Since we may be starting to give direction on the UDO, are these still your beliefs, or what is your opinion now on form-based code, conditional zoning, and historic preservation?
So, my opinion is that we need to take a look at the form-based code that we have, and that we need to close the gaps and the loopholes that we have in that form-based code. Additionally, I do think that with straight zoning, you miss some opportunities that you could put into place with conditional use. As far as historic preservation goes, I for one, have a passion and love to look at our historic downtown, and I would hate to see that go away. I would hope that 30 years from now, my son would be walking on those same streets, enjoying those same buildings with his children.
Okay. So I know that you spoke about the need for the traffic control and calming measures that we've discussed. I've looked through some of, like I said, the past public comments that you've made. And I know we had an opportunity to partner with SPCC, but there was a lot of blowback in the community for that. And in January 2018, you spoke with the media regarding your opposition to this feasibility study, which could have provided a local education opportunity for our citizens and the development of the park. There was also, in a 10-month period, you made 8 public comments in support of developing the Waxhaw Marvin Park, which was the majority of the topics you've spoken on to the board. On May 22nd, 2018, you requested the town reduce public waste services, but wanted to know why there was no funding for the park. So even though you've said that the traffic is your number one issue, would you consider the 34-acre park a special interest item you want passed during the 4 months on the board?
I would consider the 34-acre park to be something that I'm passionate about, and not just the 34-acre park, but the 95 acres that we have in park inventory. I believe very firmly that the preservation of open space is something that we need to protect. And the reason being is that we are not going to get the opportunity to create any more land within Waxhaw. What we have is what we have. And I feel very firmly that the creation and generation of park spaces for all residents to enjoy is something that is important and something that I am passionate about. But I, again, would want to further the efforts of this board and, participate in the priorities of this board.
I see that you said you are currently serving as a volunteer coordinator with the police department. Is this something that they've asked you to do? Is this with some other?
This is specifically associated to the Back to School Bash that's happening on August the 17th. So in partnership with Mrs. Truesdale and Officer Vic Montavlo, I requested to see how I could help. And Mrs. Truesdale reached back out to me and said that I could volunteer my time and coordinate the volunteers, seek out volunteers from other local organizations, for example, the Coles, the Rotary, the Waxhaw Women's Club, Waxhaw United Methodist Church, and coordinate the volunteers for that day in order to ensure that everything runs smoothly for that fantastic event.
And then final question. With all of the activism you have done in the town over the past few years, why did you choose to pursue a short-term appointment rather than running for office for this election?
The very simple answer to that is I would like to apply here now for this position, and I believe that I can dedicate the time to this position right now. For me to make a 4-year commitment, I would like for my son to be a little bit older, and I'd like for him, to spend 2 more years with him, and for him to be a little bit older if I were to run for this role.
Well, since everyone has already asked a number of questions that I would have asked, I was just listening and taking it in. So I just want to say thank you for applying. Your resume is definitely impressive. We know that you have volunteered and taken a lot of time in coming to meetings and doing things in the town, so we do appreciate that. So I just want to say thank you for that right away. What makes, if you haven't said it, maybe just say it again for me, our mission here in Waxhaw meaningful to you?
I think what makes the mission meaningful is being able to provide the best that we can for our citizens, so that they can enjoy the heritage that we have to offer, so that their well-being and their needs are met. So again, anything I can do to assist in driving that mission, I'm here to dedicate that time over the next 5 months to do that.
In your statement, you said that the board speaks, I think you said, as one voice for the board, that there is one voice for the board. In your activism and things that you have done and passions that you have shared here in the town of Waxhaw, you have made a number of statements to the press, formed petitions or done things outside. Now, with the board, there's a level of confidentiality with issues and ethics that we must uphold. Would that be a problem for you in moving forward? Or do you feel that it is necessary to speak out as opposed to maybe not speaking out if a member of this board?
No, ma'am, I would support the consensus of this board and the voice of this board as one. And I have reviewed the rules of procedure as well as the ethics policy and plan to uphold the confidentiality of this role and this board.
Then we have, let me see. What I ask? What are two most difficult problems that you see facing the town of Waxhaw?
I think the two most difficult problems that we have is the transportation issues that we need to move forward, whether that be the traffic calming policy, future projects, etc. And I also see the challenge of not having the UDO in place. And obviously that's not going to happen in 5 months, but whatever I can do as a member of this board to further that so that we have a UDO that supports a land use map and supports a comprehensive plan. I, as a resident, would like to see that brought forward as well as if I sat on the board.
Do you want to make any closing remarks?
Just that it would be my privilege to serve, and that I would, again, dedicate the time and effort. And I know, again, as I said in my own statement, I have very passionately come to this board in the past over the last, gosh, I don't know how many years. And that's because I want to see Waxhaw go in the right direction for all residents and to see us be able to work together and to deliver the best that Waxhaw can be. Thank you so much.
For what it's worth, you've been visiting me for 5 years plus, so. So, all right, well, thank you very much. We will take a 5-minute break. I'll get Bob. We'll start again at 9 minutes, 2:45. Thank you.
Thank you.
Apologize to you for running off the other day. You know, Brenda introduced me to you. But I had my mind. Getting
Oh, that's
back
all
on
right.
track.
We can't have anyone behind the dais,
Oh,
though.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. I can talk to you after.
Would you like this?
No. Thank you.
Okay, Bob, welcome.
Thank you.
Ready to get going?
Yes, sir.
You want to make a personal statement up front?
Yeah, I want to make a statement. Would anybody mind if I had a timer in front of me, just to make sure I don't go over 5 minutes? Because
I'll make sure. I'll start it.
Okay, but let me know when there's a minute left, because I respect your time and I don't want to go further. I also talk fast. If I speak too quickly and you would like me to repeat it and slow down.
10 seconds into your
Okay,
5 minutes.
thank you very much, Mayor Maher, commissioners, staff, and concerned residents for the opportunity to interview for a vacant seat on the board. I feel extremely honored to be one of the finalists along with Ms. DeFinis. I would also like to thank Pedro Maher, Michael Plock, former Commissioner Jim Warner, and the other two applicants for applying for this vacant seat. It's refreshing to see there are other residents who love Waxhaw as much as I do and are willing to dedicate their time to its governance. I hope that these individuals continue to seek ways to serve for the good of Waxhaw, because Waxhaw, like all the municipalities, we have ongoing issues and concerns that need to be addressed and worked upon by all the residents of Waxhaw and by the board specifically, because we're the ones who set the policy and agenda. Well, the board sets the policy and agenda. I want to say that as chairman of the planning board, I'm usually, like I said, I'm on the other side of the dais, but the difference is that the planning board, I'm fully aware, and I'm talking fast, that it's an advisory board.
Pause and take a deep breath. Relax a little bit. It's okay. It's okay.
I just want to get things out. I apologize.
Okay, take your
That's my
time.
one, like I'm not nervous, but, I'm nervous to go quick. The planning board is advisory. I'm fully aware of that. Okay, like I try and draw out discussion, so we discuss the issues, so it's raised when it comes before you guys, and you make the decision. You have additional issues that we've raised during our planning board meetings. And I'm aware that the Board of Commissioners is the one that actually makes the decisions. So it's a much greater responsibility, and I mean, that's why people get elected to it, and that's why you interview people if they get appointed, if there's any vacation. So the thing I'd like to say next is that local town government, it's strictly public service for the benefit of the town's residents, okay? My view is town government, I would not approach it from any selfish point of view. I would not have any agendas or things I wanted to get done. I believe that what we should do as a board, if I was fortunate enough to be on the board, is do things for the best reasons for the town itself. I mean, we could have ideas of what we would like to do, but we should listen to each other and then act as one voice together and make a decision that we all can live with and is something that makes the town better tomorrow, okay? We all want to be on this board because we want to help the town. We obviously all here love Waxhaw. And that's my interpretation of what local town government is, such as this Board of Commissioners is doing things like that, okay? It's a deal where there's no need in local government for partisanship, there's no need for any type of agendas, and there's no need for any type of drama. And I would like to think that I would be someone who would come in and would agree with people and would attempt to fit into it, like fill into the slot in a way that would not disrupt things. Like, I don't think I'm a disruptor. I think I'm someone who works to get things together and work together for a common cause, and whatever's best for the town. I also believe that the focus of the board's decision should be based on the facts, merits, and analysis which promote the greatest benefit for Waxhaw without any bias or preconceived agendas. We're on one board for the benefit of Waxhaw. We must be united to obtain the best outcome for Waxhaw and all of its residents. Okay? This is my reason why I think I'd be a good choice for the board. I have the experience. I've been on the planning board since 2010 with only a short break of time. I've enjoyed serving on the board thoroughly. It's been a great experience, and I'm proud of the work that we've done for Waxhaw. We've reviewed, analyzed, and made recommendations for zoning decisions, ordinances to be adopted by the Board of Commissioners, and also for the comprehensive plan that was adopted in 2016, along with other studies. So I've been a long timer on here in terms of my experience, and I've seen what's going on in Waxhaw. But from the planning board perspective, I haven't been, I'm not going there saying that I'm the Board of Commissioner person. I know I'm the planning board. So I know my zone, I know my lane, I stay in there. That's what I do. I'm intentionally curious. I've always attempted to learn more about the various issues that the planning board has had to deal with to make the proper recommendations to the Board of Commissioners. And I've always attended the planning board training sessions to better understand my role and improve my performance on the planning board for the good of the town. Next, like I said before, my temperament. My temperament, I have relationships with people, and they're almost always good. I can't name anybody I would have on like an enemies list, only because I always try and joke around. My core is serious, My outside is a little bit more jovial and a little bit more joking because life is difficult enough as it is. And my approach is that life is difficult, like I said, and I don't want to make it more difficult for people, okay? My last point about me being qualified with my education, I'm currently licensed an attorney in 2 different states, and I believe my legal education and legal work will have given me the ability to view issues critically and dispassionately. This approach allows a logical, factual, and evidence-based discussion and decision-making. From my experience, education, and training, how much time do I have left?
20 seconds.
20 seconds, okay. Well, thank you very much. In conclusion, I'm going to wrap up. I would like to thank you for the opportunity to apply and interview the vacant seat, and for your consideration of my application. It would be a true honor to be chosen to serve on the board for the remainder of this term. Regardless of the decision that has been made, you will not see the last of me. I still want to work forward and make Waxhaw a better place. My wife and I chose to live here and make it our permanent home, and I'm not going to stop serving. But thank you very much for your consideration. Sorry for the...
Thank you. Thank you very much. Take a sip of water.
Yeah.
Breathe.
Relax, breathe.
I get
Yeah.
parched. Anyone that made speeches, I always, sorry.
I'm exhausted.
Again, I apologize. I know I speak
No,
fast.
Bob, I know you well enough.
I wanna get-
You're good.
I
You're-
want to
that's
get
fine.
information out there because I know everyone doesn't know me the same way. I have different relationships with different people. And I want to make sure you're all on the same page about who you think would be the better choice for the next 3 months and whatever number of days we have left until the election, when this seat will be filled.
Okay, so let me talk now, okay?
Sorry, I apologize. I'm a little bit nervous.
All right, you're fine, you're fine. So let's get to some questions. So should you be appointed,
Yes,
you'll be one of 6,
yes.
okay? We operate under the council manager form of government. The intent of this form of government is to collectively, and it's up on the board behind me, within our unique roles of staff, manager, and elected officials. Respect those roles and take what we've been handed and leave Waxhaw in a better place than where it is at the moment, together. What does together or one voice mean to you?
Well, I mean, I think I touched on it briefly in my remarks about the fact that I think that as a board, we have to work together and have one voice, and our voice should always work to improve Waxhaw. We have to do what we do, and I do this in my work life, my personal life, is you build on the work that was previously done, okay? I don't want to redo work, okay? If someone already did something, and I think they did it in a competent and efficient manner, or in a competent and a factual manner, I say I would rely upon that and then build forward on it. And the one thing I want to say is that that's I think we need to do regarding the comprehensive plan, because I think that's in need of an update, and that has to be started in the near future. I don't know if it'll be started in the next 4 months or not. I don't want to presume what the board's going to do, because I'm not on the board. I'm applying to be on the board and see the things that I see in terms of what needs to be done. And I think that's one of the higher things that needs to be updated, I guess, in my opinion.
Okay?
Sorry. That was so really off one voice. I apologize for the
No, that's fine. That's fine.
non-responsive. I'll strike the non-responsive.
What words equates to or describes better place to you?
I'd rather live in Waxhaw than Mineral Springs. You know what I'm saying? I mean, no offense to Mineral Springs.
Okay.
No. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's all in the person. It's all in their approach and their view.
Mayor Becker, we apologize.
No. I was thinking of a town that wouldn't really care, but I don't know, they might care. I apologize.
No, let me rephrase it.
Yeah.
We want to make it a Waxhaw a better place. What does it mean to make Waxhaw a better place to you?
To me, it would be feeling like home. Like I said before in my remarks, my wife and I chose to be in Waxhaw, and we moved here to have and raise a family.
Okay.
So I made that decision. So we thought this was a better place from where we came from. Okay. I don't think I'll find a better place for my family now and the future. And a better place would be like a home. Like I mean, I'm sorry
thank
for
you.
any emotion that.
No. I think the 5 of us up here would agree with you. There's no better place. So Waxhaw has a vision, a mission, some values, and why we have won a number of awards. We continue to be recognized for the progress we make. So I liked your comment about I don't want to redo work. We've got a good foundation to move from. Where do you feel we can always improve? Where do you feel we can improve on any one of those topics.
Well, I mean,
That's it, take a breath, that's good.
it's tough to say, you know, it's tough to say something like that in a vacuum, because we can always improve in every aspect of our lives, personally and professionally, you know, and socially. And I think Waxhaw and towns are the same. They're not people, obviously, but towns, like, they sort of live and they change and they grow and they, you know, and they're not static. You know what I'm saying? Like Waxhaw, you know, what, 19 years ago was like how many people? 3,000 possibly? Something like that. I mean, we've grown in a substantial amount, and we have to make better progress to account for that growth, because it's not going away. People are not going to leave, and we still have housing that's been approved. We're going to get more people. So as a board, I think the most important thing that we can improve is make things easier for the people and the residents of Waxhaw for their lives. So it's easier for them with traffic. It's easier for them to entertain their kids or bring them to the park and have relaxation. It's easier in a lot of ways, and that's what I feel the board should be doing. And I was actually not very excited, you know, how excited can you get about it? But seeing the agendas for tomorrow, for the work session, and for the regular session, before I looked at them, a lot of those things on those agendas are things that I've considered that we can should be working on and improving. And so I think that what the board is working on and doing is where I think the board should be improving and progressing, because we work on individual issues to make those policies and goals a reality. And you're not going to get those policy and goals realized unless you work on each individual thing, and things are way more complicated than they are. Like, you know, you can ask someone a question, and it could take them like an hour to answer it properly and succinctly and factually, but that's the reality. It's so easy to ask a question, it's so difficult to provide the answer. And it's not always 100% because you know. Anyway, sorry, I apologize if I went off the topic again, it's not my intention.
No. I was trying to envision what you giving an hour answer would be like. You know?
No. And I try to use economy of speech because, you know.
Hey, you're fine. I'm trying to get you to just relax a little bit.
No,
You're-
it's still going to be a little bit on edge.
Okay.
Just so you know.
All right. All right, the last general question.
Yes,
So you're just going to be here for, if you get appointed, 4 months, 8 meetings,
Yeah.
9 meetings. The items to the right up there highlight the town work plan as it's defined right now, defined by staff. I spent the weekend having worked through Matt to say, hey, what are the big ticket items? What do we have going on over the next 4 months? It's not like we just show up and we just throw things on an agenda and go. Staff is very regimented. They have a work plan. It's approved through a budget, et cetera. And we've got some policy activities. We've got some, obviously, the interim town manager, who will get appointed tomorrow, will drive some things forward for us that will need further clarification from the board. We've got staff doing a whole host of projects, not the least of which we have 14 events between now and December 10th and the organizational meeting. We got the TAP grant kicking off. We got sidewalks on Waxhaw Marvin getting ready to be let for contract. We have park improvements across the board going on. Lots of things going on. So with that, what do you see as your role of commissioner in this? And how do you view the role of commissioner enhancing this?
Well, I mean, there's a lot on the board's plate. I mean, you know, but that's always the way it's going to be. Okay. The way I'm going to phrase my answer is I'm going to start by saying that I would like to thank, and I apologize if this is blowing smoke, but Brenda and Steve, because I think you guys have been on the board the longest. And as far as I'm aware, you guys have been instrumental in, you know, updating from what we did previously. And you've more or less modernized the government to an extent. And that's why we have all these type of different things and the different delineations and things we bring down. Unless I'm mistaken in that, in my appraisal of what's happened. So, I mean, I thank you both for that, because the thing is, that's what we need. My second part is Jeff Wells. For the planning board, I've been on it, and he's been since back in May, and I met him, and I've talked to him a few times, and he seems like a really nice guy. And he thinks I'm also really competent, and he knows what he's doing. And I think he's going to be a great addition. He's going to help us as we move forward with the planning that we need and with the zoning that we need, and, you know, I think it's gonna be something positive. The role of commissioners, I mean, let's be honest, you're on 4 months, there's only so much you're gonna do, okay? I'm not gonna come in and take over and be like, oh, okay, that's not gonna happen, okay? I wanna learn, I wanna listen, I wanna contribute, okay? I mean, you know, I don't know how much more I can say beyond that, because the thing is, as a commissioner, that's what you do. You know, I mean, I wouldn't be sitting there like a bump on a log, and, you know, I would really learn the material, and I would interact with my, you know, fellow commissioners to get their advice about what they're thinking, and then come to a conclusion that's the best for Waxhaw, you know, itself. I'm fully aware that, you know, like I said, it's 4 months. You know, I mean, not even 4, I mean, 3 months plus. I mean, I'm not, you know, and I'm not, like I said, this would be truly an honor to be on it. I don't want to put, you know, but I would dive deeper into the issues as you get the materials you get from the staff, and they put it together. You read it, you go through it, you write up your review, you write up your what your opinion is, and then you go into the meeting and you discuss it with people. That's, I mean, that's what I've done with the planning board. I mean, because, you know, we have issues on the thing, and we get together, have a good, you know, robust discussion. I hope it's robust, and then we make a decision to recommend something or not recommend something.
So can you do me a favor?
Yes, sir.
So try not to pound so much, because we're getting a little complaints from the audience out there
feedback?
that we got a
Sorry, sir.
pounding going on. So just on the microphones, that we're having just a little
Sorry about
difficulty
that.
there, so thank you.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Wesolek, we'll start on this side this time.
Okay. I'm going to try to ask some of the same questions that I asked Ms. DeFinis. First of all, thank you for being here today. Like I said to her, I know this is not a normal interviewing process, so in front of all these people, so I do appreciate what you're doing. So I know you've served on the planning board. Is that the only board or committee you have served on for the town?
For the town, yes.
Okay.
For the town, yes. I've only been involved in, like, when the planning board has gotten together with the board of commissioners. I mean, we've had meetings with them, but nothing additional for the town besides that.
Right. And how long have you been serving on the planning board?
I was appointed in June 2010 by Dawn Gardner. I specifically remember going down there with my 3-month-old daughter, and it was was it the old town hall? I think it's old, right? But I remember sitting there with my daughter and speaking with her about it and expressing, I mean, the same desire that I have now, that I really want to serve, you know.
So it's been about 9 years?
Yes.
Or- I know you said you took a
9
little
years, 1
bit of a
month, yeah.
break, and
It was, well, the thing is, I was off from sometime in 2015 until the end of 2015, or beginning of 2016. I don't know the exact dates. It was because I was on the board for too long with terms, because I think terms came into, I don't know if terms were existing when I was originally appointed, but they came in afterwards. So I was off, and then when a member of the planning board got elected to the board of commissioners, then I applied, and I was reappointed to the board.
since we may be giving some direction to the planning department on the UDO, what is your opinion on form-based code, zoning, and historic preservation in the UDO?
Well, with form-based code, preservation, and the historic district, I guess is what I call it, I think it's important that it's important that we go forward with form-based code, but with the form-based code, it has to be strictly, it has to be restricted, so they can't just, so the person who would have a right to build in there doesn't have free reign entirely. Like we have to go from being a small town where everything that people want, they come right to the board, to being a town where we lay down the rules and regulations that our staff should be following. If they're following these rules and regulations properly, then the zoning that's being, I'm sure they are. I'm not trying to say anything bad about them. That's not my intention. But form-based, it's difficult to understand, but as long as it's strict enough, I think it's fine. But you still have to grandfather in the existing communities, and then you have to have a separate approach to the historic district in downtown, because I don't think that's a part of Waxhaw that we really want to lose. We don't want to restrict liberty of how you can use your property, but at the same time, when people say they want Waxhaw the way it used to be, I think a lot of it is nostalgia for the type of environment we have downtown. It's a really unique environment that you don't find in many other places. And so we have to make sure we maintain that and we don't lose that as part of our character as we adjust with the tremendous growth we've had and will have.
So I did with Ms. DeFinis, I went back and looked at some different public comments and things in the past. I couldn't find anything where you've addressed the board other than giving a planning board update where you actually asked for additional training for board members to work on the UDO and the comprehensive plan. So did you get that training?
Yeah, we've had the training. I mean, I don't know if that was related to the one we had up in like, what was it, the Community of Governance? It was somewhere north
Council
of.
of Government.
Council, yeah, we went there one day for like, it was a full day session. I don't know if that was related to that or not. I don't know if it flowed for that, but I know that we've had training every year, and I always make a point that I really enjoyed being involved in it, because strangely enough, I enjoy learning. It's like, you know.
And so, in your application, you stated government officials should not have any private biases or preconceived notions that influence their decisions because optimal government actions should be based upon achieving an outcome that is in the best interest of the entire town, which reflects what you said in your opening statement. So would you say you do not have any special interest that you would like to get passed if you are chosen to serve on the board? And/or what do you see are the most important issues you would like to tackle?
I don't have any particular biases or interests or agenda because I just want what's best for Waxhaw. And, I mean, like I said earlier, it's my home. I want to make it better. I mean, everyone wants to make their home better, so.
In your application, you stated, "I don't believe in complaining about issues, but volunteering to help resolve issues." Can you give an example of volunteer work where you helped resolve an issue in a positive manner?
Well, I mean, first, I mean, I've been on the planning board, I mean, on a volunteer basis since, you know, June of 2010. I've also, in my community, it's currently owned by the developer, but they tried to reach out to the residents and get what's called a residents advisory committee, and they wanted us to get together and try and help the communication between the owner of the development and the residents, because eventually the residents are going to have to take that development over. And so I was part of that, and I think it did help the communication. I think it did help the communication between the board and the residents. I mean, so I mean, I enjoyed doing that, and that's why I stepped up when I volunteered, and then I was chosen out of, you know, whatever number of people applied by the. So I mean, I think it's important to actually do things rather than just talk about things. I mean, words are cheap, accents really where it counts.
Okay, and final question for me. So I understand you filed to run for mayor in this upcoming election. After serving the town for 9 years, why did you decide to take the next step and run for office?
Wow, thanks for such a controversial question. Again, I believe that my experience, my temperament, and, you know, my background and my education really would make me an asset to the town, okay? I wanted to make sure that I was in a better position in many aspects of my life, you know, employment-wise, you know, kids age-wise, our you know, our family. I just wanted to make sure I was in the proper place before things happened. And this was the, you know, in my opinion, it was just a matter of perfect timing, because I was ready to step up, and I just felt the obligation. I mean, to step up and try and serve. I mean, I'm not a public person, because obviously I'm very emotional about stuff, because I just feel very deeply that I can give a benefit to the town, and I think this is the time to step up.
And thank you for doing that.
Well, thank you very much, sir.
Pro Tem?
Thank you again, applicant for stepping up and your willingness to. Okay. We thank you again for your willingness to step up as I did the previous applicant and be willing to fill in this spot for the next few months. In looking at your application, it says that you're interested in serving on the Waxhaw Board of Commissioners because you believe that you have the education, work experience, and volunteer experience background to assist in this position. Can you elaborate? I'm seeing here where you speak about your involvement with the school and special needs programs. How do you see your involvement either in that area or your community service as assisting you here with the commissioners, the Board of Commissioners?
I think I understand the question. I don't have any particular agenda or specific things that I want the town to do. I would enjoy the opportunity to bring to light issues regarding mental health and things like that. I don't know if being a commissioner is really the place for that, but the commissioner should be concerned mostly about the local government and working on the laws and rules and regulations of the government. But I mean, if there was any cause that I feel strongly about, that would be it. I mean, because we care about physical health, but mental health is sometimes put under the rug. And so, I mean, from my dealing with the school, I've learned more about that issue. But I mean, again, like I said, I'm still on the fence about whether or not that belongs on the, you know. But if there was anything that I would feel strongly about as an issue, that would probably be. But like I said, I don't know if it fits into what the commissioners do, because we don't really do anything in that regard, if that makes sense. You know, I'm sorry for fumbling. It was a very convoluted question. I didn't want to. Sorry. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
All right.
Thank you, ma'am.
The board speaks and operates as one voice. What does that mean to you?
I mean, again, the board is the voice of Waxhaw. I mean, the board is what decides what Waxhaw ends up doing, okay? I mean, there can be like, it's like Horton hears a who. You know, the board hears what's going on in the community, and they try and put what's going on in the community into action and make it better and make it and move it in a positive fashion forward. And that's what I think the board should be doing, and that I completely missed the question. Sorry. I apologize if I don't answer any of your questions. I mean, feel free to ask them again. I don't mind.
What are two most difficult problems that you see facing the town of Waxhaw?
I mean, dealing with the growth, and then, I mean, besides dealing with the growth, I mean, growth is that's the number one issue. But I mean, I think we also have to update the comprehensive plan, and we have to modernize the UDO so it actually fits with the comprehensive plan. You know, I mean, we can't properly do our job if we don't have these things in place in order, and we need to work on them and make sure they're updated and make sure they're current for the town, so we can do better things and we can do more things. And so I guess that's the two things: the population growth and our current, you know, kind of mismatch for comprehensive plan and UDO currently. I don't know the full thing because I'm not on, you know, the board, but that's my impression, that we have to have a better fit between those two documents so we can actually utilize them and actually move forward in a consistent, progressive manner that we can do better going forward, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And again, I'm only here for, if I was appointed, this is only a 4-month position. I mean, I would do the best I could over those 4 months. You know, it's a limited number of meetings, you know, so I'm not going to be involved. I mean, I don't know how to explain it better than that, and I apologize if that's not the proper explanation, but I mean, it is only a 3+ month appointment, if I was so fortunate.
What makes our mission here in Waxhaw meaningful to you?
Waxhaw is home. So someone in charge of my home, I think it's important to have that person in charge, which I view as the board, be someone that'll listen to what you say about what you want for your home. So I think that it's important that the board works together with one voice to show that we know what we're doing in charge of our home, and we know where we want Waxhaw to go, and where we want Waxhaw to grow. Because, like I said, we can't go backwards with Waxhaw. The people are not going to move out.
Hi. Over the past 2 years that I've been sitting up here, we've received a lot of unanimous recommendations from the planning board for higher density rezoning requests. What would you say is your philosophy about zoning in town?
Right now, it's broken. I mean, we need to fix the UDO and have it more because the thing is, you can't have a comprehensive plan and not have an updated UDO to go along with it. It just doesn't make sense. I mean, yeah.
Okay. What would you say should be town's biggest, say, top 2 priorities?
I mean, to piggyback off my last answer, to Commissioner McMillan, or Mayor Pro Tem McMillan, it's the growth that we're still dealing with, and is still continuing. And then it's also our governing documents need to be reconciled, need to be updated. We have not updated them like we should have, because this is October 2016 is when it was published, and right now we're in July of 2019. It seems like we should be updating it, and we probably are.
What is your understanding of the council manager form of government and where the commissioners, or what the commissioner's role is within that?
I mean, it's similar to a company in respect. Like, the board of directors is the ones who decides which way the company goes, but then the person who actually is in charge of the day-to-day is the person, the chief executive. I'm not very good with corporate stuff. But for the town stuff, I'm fully aware the people making the rules and the policies is the board of commissioners, with the mayor's assistants, and the person actually running things is the town manager and the staff, and they're actually doing stuff. So, I mean, I think that what the board has to do is to make what they want to have happen to the town going forward, and they're the ones who have to provide the guidance and give the instructions about what the people do the day-to-day work, like the staff and like the town manager, take the directions from the town board.
Okay. I had a few questions about your packet. I thought it was wonderfully prepared, but there were just a few things that stuck out to me as a little idiosyncratic. You start off with an early paragraph talking about former Commissioner Burrell and his role on the board in the seat that is now vacant. Why did you feel the need to include that?
Why would I not acknowledge the person that I'm taking their vacant seat? You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's the reason why. I mean, I worked with them previously, so I know Fred from working on the planning board. You know what I'm saying? And I know Fred from when the planning board was working with the Board of Commissioners working on the comprehensive plan back in 2016. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, there's something back there that we have a relation, I mean, we know each other from back on the planning board, which is the same reason why, that's my answer.
Okay.
Sorry, thank you.
And why did you choose to include the information about the Mandarin immersion program that your children are involved in?
Well, first of all, I'm fully aware that education is not within the purview of the town, okay? I just wanted to point out how I've been involved with the school and how it's important to be involved with the public institutions in your neighborhood or in your town
Okay.
to make sure that they're doing the right thing individually for yourself, but then also for the benefit of the whole town, which is what I think we should do. And that's why I included it, because it's been a lot rockier than I anticipated.
Okay.
Thank you.
Take a breath. And I just have, I think we've asked that one. I think I just have one last question. Sometimes in government, we have to make tough decisions. Sometimes they're not popular decisions. Are you prepared to take any flack that might come from that, especially given that you're going to be seated, would be seated up here while currently running for an office?
I'm fully aware of what happens when you put yourself out into the public spectrum. I don't think I will enjoy it. I don't think I will let it get to me, though, because talk is cheap. I mean, you have to take action to make things happen. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't know how deep I want to go into this, I just...
It's your answer.
Yeah.
Correct, obviously. Social media has its positives, it has its negatives. I like the positives, where we get some feedback and we gather information. I'm not a big fan of the negatives, where we're criticizing people, where we're tearing them down. I don't think that helps Waxhaw. You know, I mean, so yeah, I'm aware of what's going to happen. I'm not looking forward to it, and I don't plan on responding to it if I don't, have to. That's not the way I live my life.
Thank you. That's all I have.
I have 4 questions, and one to start with, in looking at your packet, I also would like to just ask one question about the first 2 paragraphs where you reference the former commissioner. And my question is, you do understand that you're not filling his seat as a friend or a confidant. You are coming on independently if you're chosen to fill that seat regardless of any interaction with him.
Correct. No, yeah, I don't. Again, I answered before that I don't. I'm acknowledging, his service to the town because I think everybody's service to the town is important.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I don't agree with his. I don't
Thank you.
necessarily endorse his ideas, but that's the
Thank
reason.
you.
Sorry.
Do you understand the council manager form of government and the roles each play? I think you've answered that, but just
Yeah,
briefly.
no, I do. Like I said, I mean, I realize what it is, like, the policies that come down and the ultimate decisions are on the board and the mayor, because he's the one facilitating the discussion, and I think I have a skill for facilitating. And then the people putting it into action is the town manager and the staff. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's the way it works.
Thank you. What is your reason for wanting to serve Waxhaw just for the next 4.5 months?
Well, I think it would be an honor to serve on the Board of Commissioners, because like I said before, I have been on the planning board for quite some time, and I do realize the difference, I don't want to lessen the importance of the planning board, because the planning board is important, and I've tried to elevate the planning board to an extent the best I can with more of like a freewheeling discussion of things, because I like to make sure we bring out all the negatives and the positives in any particular project or any particular thing we're asked to handle. And I think that would be important for the board also.
Thank you. My last question is, or the third question is, do you have a particular issue facing Waxhaw or issues that is of the greatest concern or interest to you?
I mean, again, I don't mean to repeat myself, but I really do believe it is really just the population we have to deal with in terms of like, how we get around. I guess population, the way transportation accommodates it, and then also the fact that our governing documents need to be updated, and they need to be updated on a regular basis and reconciled together so they all make sense. So it's, the same with the board unity. We should have like plan unity. They should all come together. I think they do, but I think, we can update the comprehensive plan from 2016 with some of the studies we've done since 2016. And I think it's important that we start doing that. I don't know if we're going to finish it during the 3+ months that the board has with this, new member, but I think we have to get started at the very least.
Thank you. The last question is, while you've been on the planning board and taken all of that experience in, what do you see the town transitioning into in the next 4 to 10 years?
Well, we all know the 16 widening is coming. So, we have to prepare for that and make sure that we get our town in the best situation where when that 16 expansion comes, that we're ready for it and we can handle it and we know what we're doing with the surrounding transportation area. I know there's, the local, transportation board handles it, and Waxhaw has a voice in that, I believe, through the mayor, no? And the thing is, so it's important that we keep that communication open, and we make sure that they aware of our positions, and that we deal with it. I know I keep on going way far off with these questions, and I apologize. But yeah, so I think it's population, I think it's the documents. They're two of the most important things from my perspective. But they both can't be fully fixed in 4 months.
But I think more what I'm looking at,
I'm sorry.
looking for is, what do you envision Waxhaw looking like in 4 to 10 years, as a
Oh.
community, as a town?
Oh, it's a town?
I mean, different than now, or?
Unfortunately, I mean, it'll be bigger, unfortunately. I mean, I'm not, it's going to grow. We have to improve the best we can for the lives of our citizens. I mean, in 10 years, what do we have now, 17, 18,000 people? I mean, I don't think it's going to grow. Hopefully it won't grow as fast as it has in the past 10 years, but it's going to be substantial. And I don't think, I mean, I don't know the proper answer to that question, because things change consistently. You know what I'm saying? I mean, with the Plan 16 expansion, that's going to change my opinion, but it's going to be in 4 to 10 years. But if that gets canceled, then we're not going to have, you know what I'm saying? I don't, I wish I had a better answer for you in that regard. But I mean, I think it's going to be just a bigger town, and hopefully if we've kept up with that growth, and we've, solved some of the issues that currently present in front of us, that we'll have, maybe a updated transportation grid, people get around better, maybe we'll have more parks for people, maybe there'll be more communication capabilities in the town to the residents. Those are my things, because you're predicting the future, and you don't know what technological innovation is going to happen that'll affect our lives, that'll make things like 10 years from now look so much different. Imagine 10 years ago. I mean, could you predict where we are now? I don't think so. All right. But, I mean, that's my prediction. Like I said, I don't know exactly how it's going to look. But, I mean, I do know it's going to grow. I do know it's going to be bigger. I just hope we can make it better in the next 4 to 10 years.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Any closing comments?
I think I've said enough, but I just would like to thank each and every member of the board. I appreciate you listening to me. I appreciate the opportunity. I would love to join you on the board, but that's up to you guys, or ladies. I also want to thank the current town manager and the staff for all you guys do, and I hope that I'm selected, but even if I'm not, you're not going to see the last of me, because I really would like to continue serving the board, serving the town. Sorry, Freudian slip. But thank you very much for your time.
All right, thank you. We'll get back together in 5 minutes at 3:30. You can stay here. I'll go get Candace. You need another bottle? go ahead and get started again. What we have to do procedurally is each write our selection down and turn it over to the deputy clerk now. We've made a little transition there. But does any board member wish to comment at this point in time? I'd like to thank both of you. Thought you both did an excellent job. Made the decision process difficult. Anybody have any comments?
No.
Okay. Well then, Jeopardy time. Write your final answer down on the card. Yeah, just fold them and I'll. And for those that, for whoever gets selected, Kelly, help me, are we appointing as part of a special meeting right before the work session? More than welcome to come to the work session, but I think you're right. We did go back and, instead of doing a special session, we're going to do both that and the interim manager at the same time, so. Yeah, okay. Yeah, which is it?
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
So will we see you tomorrow, or? Okay, no, I'm just kidding. Bob, thank you.
Thank you,
And good
Bob.
luck
very
on
much.
the, good luck on the campaign trail. You're gonna, when does your term expire on the planning board? This year.
I just got reappointed last summer, so 2 more years. I think I maybe last year or 2 years ago. It's old.
Okay.
I don't know.
All right. With that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Aye.